morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond, Virginia. My name is Denise Rhymes and I'm honored and privileged to serve as president of the board of directors of this congregation. For those of you who may be new to us and those members and friends who are zooming in from near and far, welcome to you. We're so grateful that you're here with us, regardless of where you live, where you come from, who you love, you belong here. We're a community of many faith journeys and beliefs, and we want you to know that we are happy to have you with us. We are a community that is resilient and committed to healing, does the work that needs to be done, and commits to maintaining and establishing relationships. Let us continue to be on the side of love together. Thank you so much for being with us today. May this be a comforting, centering, and restorative morning for you. Now, on behalf of the board, I would like to update you on how we are doing financially in keeping with our end statement of building a culture of responsibility, generosity, financial oversight, and communications. We have continued optimism. The generosity of our congregation has been evident in so many contributions of time, talent, and treasures. A quick overview of our financial position reveals good news, continued good news. Revenues are up at $73,787. Expenses are down at $64,185. And we have a positive balance of $9,601 as of the end of February. We're also continuing to work on gathering pledges for the coming church year. Those of you who have not yet pledged, it's not too late. The pledge link will be in the chat. Thank you so much in advance for all that you've done and all that you will continue to do to help us continue to live into our mission. Please continue to visit our website at richmonduu.org and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well in the event that you miss a Sunday morning service. Also, be sure to log into the services early to catch all of the announcements that are provided. Thank you so much again for spending your morning with us. Please be well.
As drops of rain find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea, so are we drawn together. So are we fortunate to find each other. So are we bound together on the shared passage toward an unknown ocean in eternity.
When we come together, it's remarkable what can happen. It may feel like, as individuals, we're just raindrops. And yet, those raindrops combine to form rivulets and streams. Those raindrops combine to form rain showers that nourish our soil and form our seas. It may feel like our 5% is just a drop in the bucket. Not much. And yet when we dig deep, each one of us search our couch cushions, try to find that empty change in our cars, it matters. When we feed one another, our efforts can grow. Together, this community does so much. Take a moment to reflect. Write in the chat if you'd like about what this community means to you. This community empowers children. It cares for our elders. It holds our leaders accountable. And what happens when we put those things together can be remarkable. Welcome to today's worship, where we will explore stewardship in many forms and what it means to feed one another and be fed.
We gather together in joyful thanksgiving, acclaiming creation whose bounty we share. Both sorrow and gladness we find now in our living. We sing a hymn of praise to the life that we bear. We gather together to join in the journey, confirming, committing our passage to be a true affirmation in joy and tribulation. When bound to human care and hope, then we are free.
A prayer to learn to love the world again. God of herons and heartbreak, teach us to love extravagantly, knowing it will break our hearts, and teach us that it is worth it. God of pandemics and suffering ones, teach us to love the world again. God of loneliness and longing, of bushfires and wilderness, of soup kitchens and border towns, of snowfall and children. Teach us to learn to love the world again. Amen.
Please join me now for a time of reflection.
Hi, I'm Annette Marquis. 13 years ago, I took a trip I expected to be informational and educational. It was led by the Reverend Dr. Gordon Gibson, a UU minister, civil rights movement veteran, and historian. I fully expected that I would learn some things. I would visit places I hadn't been. I would hear some stories I hadn't heard. And if I was lucky, I would meet some people that had lived during that time. What I didn't expect is that it would change the trajectory of my life. Because what I came to understand is that those stories, and especially the people who lived those stories, had lessons to teach us, lessons that we had to capture, that we had to remember, that we have to carry forward into the future. Paula Gunn Allen, a poet, writer, activist, said the root of oppression is the loss of memory. Memory of the lives that were taken, memory of the courage that they showed, memory of the mistakes that they made. Those memories have to be remembered. They have to be told and told and told again until we all understand that the people who gave their lives, that the people who gave up their livelihoods, who gave up so much, those people and those stories will be lost forever. Because legislators this very day are working hard to disenfranchise citizens of this country, to make it impossible for people to vote, to make it impossible for people to have the rights that they deserve. It is our job to ensure that that doesn't happen. We have to make sure that those victories are not reversed. And so the Southern Civil Rights Tour has become the Living Legacy Project. And the Living Legacy Project is committed through our pilgrimages to continue to meet those people and hear the stories. And when those people have passed on, to listen to the stories of their children, to meet the people who are doing work today, as we've done through our dynamic online series this year. We have to make sure that the victories won then and the victories still to be won are remembered, and that we will not stop until rights are guaranteed for everyone. So I ask you to support this important work through this month's Share the Plate, so that tomorrow's generations, today's generations, those young people that we take to Mississippi and Alabama to meet other young people who are living in those states, to continue this struggle so that they can remember the courageous people that went before, and it will give them courage and strength to go forward. Thank you.
From you I receive
This reading was written last year around the same time, but it's ever more relevant. I heard that we're all in the same boat, but it's not like that. We're in the same storm, but not in the same boat. Your ship could be shipwrecked, and mine might not be, or vice versa. For some, quarantine is optimal, a moment of reflections, of reconnections, an easy in flip-flops with coffee or cocktails. For others, this is a desperate financial and family crisis. For some that live alone, they're facing endless loneliness, while for others it is peace, rest, and some time with their mothers and daughters and fathers and sons. With the $600 weekly increase in unemployment, some are bringing in more money to their households than when they were working. Others are working more hours for less money due to pay cuts or loss in commission sales. Some families of four just received $3,400 for stimulus package, while other families of four received zero. Some were concerned about getting a certain candy in Easter, while others were concerned if there would be enough bread, milk, and eggs for the weekend. Some want to go back to work because they don't qualify for unemployment or are running out of money. Others want to kill those who break quarantine. Some are at home spending 2 to 3 hours a day helping their child with online schooling, while others are doing the same on top of a 10 to 12-hour workday. Some have experienced the near death of the virus. Some have already lost someone from it. And some are not sure if their loved ones are going to make it. Others don't believe this is a big deal. Some have faith in God and expect miracles next year. Others believe the worst is yet to come. We are not in the same boat. We are going through a time when our perceptions and needs are completely different. Each of us will emerge in our own way from this storm. It is important to see beyond what is seen at first glance, not just looking, but actually seeing. We're all on different ships during this storm, experiencing a very different journey.
Do you remember last year, April 2020, when those words that you just heard were written? Where were you? What were your circumstances, and where are you now? What have we learned, and how have we grown? During the early weeks of the COVID-19 pandemic, journalists began to call the virus the Great Leveler. Suddenly, people of all classes, races, ages, abilities, and gradations of privilege were, quote, in it together. And then an unknown author posted the words that you just heard on social media. We are in the same storm, but not in the same boat, they said, and their words swept across our socially distanced landscape, appearing in school newspapers, church updates, and Facebook posts. That these words went viral during a time of pandemic should be compelling enough for us to take their universal wisdom as evident. We are not in the same boat. We are going through a time when our perceptions and needs are completely different. We are all on different ships during this storm, experiencing a very different journey. And these ships that we are on, these differences between us, they're not new. They've just been highlighted by our current circumstances. Yet we are all called to be stewards of this shared community and of this earth boat that we are riding on together. So, How do we do that? How do we come to the table? How do we both serve and be served in the ways that most deeply sustain life and livelihood for ourselves and our planet? Returning the power to the most vulnerable, educating to counter oppression, centering the voices of the marginalized, providing food, shelter, and sustenance to those in need of care. How do we do this? How do we do this while shepherding our legacy for the people of the future, yet to be known? I imagine y'all have heard the story of the spoons in heaven and the spoons in hell. Just in case you haven't, it goes something like this. The tables in heaven and hell are set with the very same silver. When you arrive at that final destination, you will find a decadent spread with every kind of dish you can imagine. Steamy serving bowls delight the senses, frosty iced desserts, and warm, sweet puddings. Or, if you don't like puddings, then perhaps a crispy brulee or a perfectly seasoned and seared entree. Long-handled spoons sit on the table, just waiting to be dipped into the food, whatever food you most desire. And yet soon you discover that the handle of the spoon is so long that the food scooped into those mouth-sized little bowls of silver will never, ever reach your thirsting lips. Try as you might, no matter what you do. The food in front of you is always and eternally unattainable, tempting you by sitting there just beyond your reach. That is the experience of spoons in hell. And this isn't just some far-off story. This is the lived experience of many of us. Many of us live this way, toiling at our labor, trying to find work, attempting to make ends each week, charting our income and expenses, yet never having quite enough, never having enough to thrive. Some of us not even having enough to survive. We all yearn to dip spoons into that sweet pudding on the table set for all of us, and yet some are never fully able to reach those spoons to our lips. So let me tell you about heaven. Remember what I said? Same spread, same silver, lined with bowls upon bowls of steaming dishes, something right out of Gourmet magazine. The Food Network critics are all clamoring to get there. We as UUs don't even believe in heaven. Yet, let me tell you, if you could see this spread, you would want to believe. All your favorite foods, and more than enough to go round, no way for you to eat too much or gain weight, no feeling of bloating, no allergies, nothing to slow you down or stop you, and no reason to rush. You have all the time in the world and beyond the world, all of eternity, to just kick back, relax, and enjoy this last hurrah, this final picnic. And you do. But wait, is this really heaven? Because the table is set the same. There are those spoons again, those same old spoons, the long-handled silver, pools of light reflecting in their mirrored bowls. You take a deep breath. You close your eyes, and then your neighbor, whispering, asks, "What do you want me to feed you first? What do you want me to feed you first?" Slowly you turn your head, open your eyes to see the spoon in your neighbor's hand, your neighbor, a steward, attending to your heavenly meal. And you answer, and you are fed. You can't bring yourself to eat too much because you know that your neighbor's meal depends on your stewardship too, and somehow the meal tastes different than it ever has before. Tears of gratitude salt the brine. Bubbles of laughter dollop the desserts. Smiles of reverence sweeten the cream. And you realize that this was the point of your human life. In this last lesson, you realize what your purpose has always been on earth. Heaven is something that we can create here. Stewardship, that's how it's done. We are stewards. We are called to be stewards to others and to be the recipients of stewardship. We are stewards of our community's mission and vision, and the vehicle for that mission and vision is the physical expression of our community itself. Do you feel that joy? The people, you, your church, the brick and mortar, and these little screens that connect us all. And by the way, the brick and mortar is still there, and it's waiting for you. It's waiting for our return. And all that has been created this past year, the tangible technologies that keep us connected, that keep us near instead of far. This is the physical expression of our community. And you knew I was going to say it. Money. The silver stuff and the green stuff. That keeps our lights on while we're away and keeps us going. Now I know you know that there's more than money that keeps us going, so much more. But no one is returning to church if the light bill hasn't been paid. I want you to imagine that you're sitting there right now inside 1000 Blanton Avenue. Look to your left. Look to your right. Imagine your community surrounding you. If you have ever put a nickel into the offering plate, if you have ever sent a dime to your church, you and your neighbors are responsible for keeping those lights on. And whether or not you've ever contributed a nickel or a dime, whether or not you've ever been physically present in that church building, if you showed up here, if all you do is write in the chat, good morning, friend. It's good to be together with you in worship today. That is stewardship too. Or if you've just come to receive a message, participate in community, even if now is your very first time, then you are the reasons that the lights are being kept on in the first place. Do you feel that? that we can call ourselves a community and find a purpose for which to gather wherever our hearts gather. That is essential to stewardship, too. But you know, and I know, that we live in a society that uses coins and paper and checking accounts to organize our wealth. And our shared wealth is stewarded by all of us. And it is important to contribute to it in all the ways that we can. Sharing wealth through financial contributions to our community helps not only those of us who worship together, but it nourishes so many others, including some of the most vulnerable members of our society who our church family has pledged to support. As your intern, if you didn't know, y'all, watching for the first time, I'm new here, and as your intern, I told you a few months ago that I was looking forward to getting to know you, and I have. Over the past 2.5 months, I've come to know this congregation as incredibly generous, dedicated souls. Let me tell you some of what I've learned. You light up when you talk about empowering children at the Cardinal Elementary School, and you can't wait to return to be with those kids. You are committed to a living pledge to end racism and build beloved community for all people. You've worked to become a welcoming congregation to our LGBTQ community. And you've kept your lights on not only for yourselves, but for Abby and her family, providing essential sanctuary. You've come together to support one another in joys and sorrows. Over the past year online, you've held ordinations and funerals. And I want you to know that I'm grateful to be getting to know you and that you have shown me so much about the good that can happen when we come together in love. And your dedicated financial pledges, which have already been coming in. And thank you for those. Thank you to those of you who don't really need this message today. Your dedicated financial pledges to this community, they're part of that love. You know, it's not an easy thing as a person new to community to ask this, but I'm asking you right now. I've seen other communities, pledge drives, thrive. And I want to see that here too. And so I'm asking you now, what are you waiting for? What's holding you back? What's keeping you from showing up fully to support your community in this way? Because I know you love this community, and I know you're doing such good work, and I know we all want it to continue, and every pledge contributes to the health of this community. Every pledge counts. Your pledge matters. This stewardship campaign began the beginning of March, and it will continue until the end of April. I hope that when we get to April 30th, that we have the pledges that our church needs to survive, and not only to survive, but to thrive. Imagine it with me. Your contributions create a living legacy that supports not only the people of today, but the future of this congregation, allowing it to minister to the people of the future who are yet to come and who deeply need our care. Those who are able to contribute 5% or more are helping to chart the seas and choppy waters for all of us and fixing up the boats that are in need of repair. We may not be able to calm all the storms, but we can certainly try to navigate them together. We can make the boats a little more equitable so that we all get a more seaworthy ride. Now, I don't need you to pretend that your pockets are bigger than they are, but when we reach deep, when we feel around the couch cushions for that spare change I was talking about earlier, this is how we feed one another, stretching across the table with those luminous, long-handled silver bowls. Let us imagine that our pledges are like those shining spoons with the silver bowls on the end to feed one another with. Glorious silver pools of light reflecting our care for our community, shining with love across the distance, for there are no barriers to the reaches of our wealth when that wealth comes from our hearts. So may we feed one another, and may we bravely ask to be fed. May we remember that stewardship is more than a moment, more than a lifetime. It's a legacy of care. It's 100,000 raindrops singing as they fall into a shining pool. May this community be blessed by beauty beyond our wildest imaginings. And may this community bless the world with our collective loving care. In ever dedicated service, let us say, Amen.
I need you, you need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me, agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is God's will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You are important to me. I need you to survive.
I need you, and you need me. We're all a part of God's body. Stand with me, agree with me. We're all a part of God's body. It is God's will that every need be supplied. You are important to me. I need you to survive. You are important to me. I need you to survive.
I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive.
I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you, I need survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive. I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive. I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive. I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive. I pray for you, you pray for me. I love you, I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you, I need you to survive.
I need you to survive.
I need you to survive.
I need you to survive. Oh.
It is God's will that every need be supplied.
You are important to me.
I need you to survive.
Good morning. I'm Janine Daniels,
And I'm Paul Daniels.
and we feel so privileged to have been asked to tell you why we give to First UU.
We don't want to spend too much time talking about how this past year has thrown us all off and transformed our daily lives. We know that you're all living in this reality too.
We had $1 for every time we've heard the words unprecedented or uncertain in the past year. We wouldn't need to do this video.
We've had to, in a lot of ways, redefine what church is. We tried to continue and strive toward our beloved community while still being distant from one another.
We do feel, though, that there is hope on the horizon. And with that hope is a sense of renewal and the opportunity to build something even greater than before.
And even though it seems like it's been a long time without them, there will be a day when the chili cook-off returns. We will have a pancake breakfast, Thanksgiving potluck, there'll be small groups meeting in person, and we will have Vespers and First UU Presents again.
But this isn't just about what happens within our own church walls. We know that our contribution goes to help the wider community through our work with our partners such as Cardinal Elementary School and RISC, and to our mission to get the Richmond Pledge everywhere we can. Our commitment to building heaven on earth and our relationships and covenant with one another call on us to contribute.
We all know that the maintenance of the facilities, the compensation for staff, and the continuation of our ministries are what help us with that mission. We know that the work that is done here would not be possible without financial support. With all of us longing to move forward and reconnect, we don't want to sacrifice anything. That's why we pledge and give to First UU.
Instead of a fixed goal amount, we are asking that everyone give 5% of their household income, if you are able. We know that this has been a very challenging time for a lot of families and a lot of people, so we want you just to give what you can. If you're currently giving 1%, we hope that you would consider increasing your pledging and your giving to 2% this year, and perhaps 3% the next year, until you reach that 5% goal. If everyone in our congregation that was able made that stretch goal, we would be so well funded to be able to continue the work of our mission. Please consider giving and pledging generously to allow us to continue with our mission. We are still so blessed to be in this together, and we hope that you are along with us. Thank you.
May your heart be moved. May you be moved to pick up a spoon and to ask your neighbor, what would you like to be fed? And may you be bravely moved to share with your community what nourishes you, what you need. May you be moved to pledge generously to support this community with your money, with your mind, with your vision, and with your heart. May you be moved to support your ministers and leaders, employment. May you be moved to create safe harbor for those in need. May you be moved to further the mission and vision of this anti-racist, heart-full, mind-open, welcoming congregation. May we all build beloved community together. In times of distance and closeness, joys and sorrows, crisis and contentment. Because we are all still in this together. May we continue to be in beauty. May it be so, and may we be those to make it so. Amen, and blessed be.
It is our work, shared with each other in covenant, that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish the chalice, but its light lives on in the directions we have chosen today. The light of this faith lives on in us together, in our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits. Amen, and blessed be.
still